Welcome to the 125th edition of Make Pro Wrestling Majestic Again. I am Tigerhite.
And I'm Peanut Gallery.
So, we're going to get right into it. We're going to get on my soapbox because we have some things to talk about, including a new show into the lineup. I am keeping my promise. I did not watch Collision, quality of life improvement. So, let's go into Raw. Raw had 1.476 million instead of 1.483 and a 0.46 demo instead of a 0.44. A lot of what you're seeing on Raw is pretty much the same thing. I mean, There were a few highlights. There were some good stuff. I liked the Bronson Reed Akira Tozawa match. The main event was pretty good, but it's still Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Judgment Day, Sami Zayn. They just took out Kevin Owens from the equation, but it doesn't really matter because Kevin Owens...
The show is all theirs, pretty much.
Right, exactly. Every single one. The Logan Paul and Dominic Mysterio segment was very good. I love that. And people were like, oh, it's so piped in. There have been multiple videos of people who were there live. You can hear it. It is not piped in. The audio might be brought up a little bit but that's not piped in noise.
No.
That's an audio change.
Right, they just changed the audio to make it sound a little more believable.
Right. New Day and Alpha Academy had a good match, and obviously a lot of everything else was Judgment Day inspired. I have no idea what they're doing with Nikki Cross, but who cares? And Nia Jax continues to shit the bed, literally. Her promo was awful. She was wearing white. It looked like she was wearing, I am not kidding you, a diaper. So, that was that. NXT was the obvious highlight of the entire show. I mean, the entire week. This show was awesome. So, they went up against the MLB and I think the NBA on Tuesday. I don't think NHL happened on Tuesday, but they held their own. It was 787, instead of 498, and it was a 0.21 demo instead of a 0.23. So it really kept up, especially given the competition. Lyra Valkyria winning the title against Becky Lynch. I don't think Becky should have lost the title yet. Yeah. I think there was still a little more to do.
I don't think so. No? I think this is fine. You know, you put the rocket ship on Valkyria, so
I guess it was maybe somebody different, but whatever. She's getting better.
Well, it's somebody different. That's the point.
Right.
That's what I want.
I have no idea what NXT is thinking or Sean are thinking with the breakout tournament, but they were doing really well, and they had a very good contenders match for this with Ariana Grace and then Carmen Petrovic, because that's who they're really liking right now. Mm-hmm. Neither one of those two girls won. It was Kalani Jordan who won, who I like. I like Kalani Jordan, but Ariana Grace, she's getting noticed online, cross-promotional stuff, obviously, and second-generation wrestler.
Right.
Got to deal with that. And then Lola Vice won. One or two things happen. Either Sean is drunk, or they believe that those two don't need the breakout tournament.
That's probably the latter, because I don't think Shawn Michaels drinks, but...
Well, maybe not anymore.
Right.
The family losing the tag team champions to Chase U. That came out of absolute nowhere.
It feels like they're just testing the waters
with Chase U.
Yeah.
Well, Chase U is still popular.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very popular. The family are fine, but I think
this is because they don't have the representation of main roster anymore. Right. So I wonder if they're testing to see which champion should get that main roster treatment next.
Right. And remember, this coming Tuesday, the women representation of Chase U are going for the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. So I wonder if they're going to win all the gold and have both the women's tag, the women's tag and the NXT tag, which would be very interesting, a different dynamic. And obviously, since this was Halloween Havoc Part 1, a lot of spooky shit with Scarlett and Shotzi. It's fine. Definitely the best show.
Enough.
Right.
Yeah, your only AEW show.
It was. So, you have Kazuchika Okada, Bryan Danielson, multiple title matches, MJF, Ric Flair, Sting, None of them could beat developmental. None of them. Together as a collective. And not only that, the number sucks. 774 next to 901 last week and a .24 instead of a .31.
Wow.
That NXT
did better.
NXT did better by a mile. And it wasn't even close. With competition, I think AEW only went up against one.
Yeah.
One sport. NXT went up against two.
Yeah.
And they kept their number. What are the excuses with this? And now Bryan Danielson is out for the rest of the year because he broke his orbital bone.
Yep, and there goes half his fucking retirement tour too.
Boom, done. This is what happens when you don't treat Bryan Danielson's retirement tour like it should be. If he was healthy, do the one-on-one with Okada.
Right.
Do the rematch. People
Right.
would go out of the way.
Have him do sparing. He has to do very few matches to keep him special.
Yeah, very few matches with select people who know how to work with Bryan. Do it with Adam Copeland. Maybe they had it with Christian Cage. Perfect. But don't do it for him to wrestle 2 times a week.
Right.
It's not clearly working.
Right.
And now he's gone. Now Collision doesn't have Bryan Danielson to fucking lean on anymore.
Yep. Because it was first CM Punk, and then it was Bryan Danielson.
Oh, and then I didn't even think about it. Rob Van Dam was on this show, too.
Yeah.
It's like these are hard-hitting people who were mainstays in WWE who drew, and they cannot beat rookies now. What does it take? This is not Dynamite anymore.
Right.
Straight up, this is not Dynamite anymore.
Yeah, this is just random.
This is a random
wrestlers.
Yeah, that's what it is. This was not the Dynamite of 2019. No. It was so funny. I wanted the nostalgia, so I did watch one of those shows, and God, the feeling was different. It felt special, and this just feels like a nothing burger. God, there's just not anything here to talk about. The Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Champions were on the line. The Dynamite Diamond Ring was on the line. Curtain jerker, by the way. Yeah, great job. That's your world goddamn champion jerking the fucking curtain. And a women's world champion match. All of that couldn't beat a bunch of rookies with 2 title matches. What are we doing here? At this point, what in the legitimate hell are we doing?
Right.
Somebody has to get a clue and do a big reassess on what the hell
they're now losing Arn Anderson, who would be a great
asset.
Asset too. He's a great mind in the business. He would be a great general manager, but you're losing him. So
good job,
guys.
So Impact Wrestling did not have a live show. It was a highlight show, and I double checked, I triple checked, and I quadruple checked, and there was nothing there. So night off for me. Let's go into SmackDown.
Yeah, LA Knight, yeah.
So last week, it was a $2.254 million, and with a .53 demo. Not the best, but I think they were on... Was it this show that they were on FS? I think it was this show that they were on FS.
This was the show they were on FS1.
So expect a bit of a drop. I'm not going to be shocked because it's on FS1. Mm-hmm. LA Knight was the dominant of the show. Obviously, he's going for the undisputed champion. He shrugged off Roman Reigns, totally ignoring him.
That was amazing.
Great stuff. And he hit BFT because Roman tried to attack. That's how you're building a person.
Right.
Like, they just did that so right. And the rest of the show, there was some fun stuff. Cena and Heyman had a fun segment. Dragon Lee and Cedric Alexander had a good match. Not great. I expected more, but I think it was time allotted for them. Street Profits finally have a new theme song, and that is a quality of life improvement because I have been saying they needed it for a while.
Yeah, we're saying that a lot, but I think that'll be a topic.
They're heels. They needed a different theme song, and they have a different theme song now.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Yep. Perfect. And they won their match against Carlito and Santos Escobar, but Carlito was not the one who got the pin. Why did he lose his, basically his return match? I have no idea, but...
Whatever.
Rock in a hard place.
Right.
Obviously, the Street Profits couldn't lose right now because new theme song, new stuff. There you go.
Right. And obviously with Bobby Lashley kind of courting them along.
Yep.
There we go.
Perfect. So, the replacement for Collision, I decided, because of what was coming up, I decided to go with the NWA.
And this is not a permanent fixture. This is just a temporary one to kind of see what the waters do.
Yes. I recommend it. NWA has some really solid competition, and I really liked what they did here. But keep in mind, this is a much different environment. They do things a lot differently than other shows. The entrances are not full entrances. They're basically cinematic screenshots, and everybody is in the ring. It's like 3 seconds for one, 3 seconds for another. There you go. This is the go-home show for, I guess this is how you pronounce it, is Samhain?
Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it.
That's how you pronounce it. That's the pay-per-view that they did. A lot of tag team matches, which was fine. EC3, once again, I don't like the curtain jerker being the world goddamn champion, but they did it. And really, they just took on a lot of jobbers. It was a fun show. Mm-hmm. I liked it.
But you just don't know half the names that are there.
Right, exactly. Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch had a fun match with the Fixers. Blood Force Trauma destroyed a bunch of rookies for the main event. Once again, why are they doing that? But I did like Aaron Stevens on commentary the whole time, and they built Blood Force Trauma quite well, which I'm happy about. I just don't think EC3 needs to be current jerker. If you're going to have him not in the main event, at least do penultimate, because that was Magic Inc. versus Mario Perdau and Jeremiah Plunkett. That probably should have been the curtain, but, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And there you go. Pretty Empowered had a match with a bunch of women, and one of them was Ruthie J, and we'll talk about that when we get to Samhain.
Yes.
But, so because they're still on YouTube right now, within 4 days they have 44,000 people who watched it. So, not the best, but also not bad for NWA. I think they have, I think they're just shy of 300,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And they do that on a constant basis, which is hovering around 30 to 40,000 people.
So what was your experience like watching it? Did you like it overall?
I did.
Okay.
I like it because it was so different. I did not have an expectation of it going in there. I watched early Powerrr. I watched a couple of episodes of that. The production is very good, though. I will give them that. There is a lot of great camera angles. I think there's a really good fluidity.
Yeah, and we talked about their production upgrades that they're going to be going through along with Impact. But
there was just a definite improvement with this show, and I'm excited to continue, at least for right now. I might do a show or two here. I might do a show or two of MLW Fusion. I'm just going to test the waters in a couple of places. I've been getting a lot of recommendations.
Just don't recommend Ring of Honor, because that's essentially an AEW.
Yeah, it's AEW. Don't do Rampage or Collision. I'm not going to do that. And I saw a lot of people who recommended New Japan. People, the New Japan show is a highlight show of matches that already happened. Yeah. If I wanted to cover those, I'll watch the original match.
Right.
So there you go.
But New Japan doesn't do they do things a little bit differently.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right. So that was my soapbox. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Peanut Gallery, what are we talking about?
Well, we're going to talk about LA Knight.
Yeah.